What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Mateo Family Vibes. And in this video, guys, we're going to talk about why did I sell everything that I own. I sold and I moved to a different country. Why would I sell everything that I own and move to a different country? Well, I'm going to tell you in this video. So let's get it started. First, before we talk, man, beautiful, absolute gorgeous view, absolute gorgeous day here in the Philippines today. Very blessed to be here and just to have access to these beautiful views that we have here every single day. 3 years ago, decided to take a leap of faith and literally sold everything that I had, house and everything, and just decided to move, to leave the country and to go to a different country, and decided to come here to the Philippines. So why did I do that? Well, the number one reason that I moved from the US over to the Philippines is honestly the cost. The cost of living is probably the number one reason why I decided to move. It is very expensive. Ask anybody in America. It is very expensive to live in the US. And it's not even funny how expensive it is. Like, there are so many people in the US that are struggling, that are paycheck to paycheck, and that honestly, would love to have a better life. And so, for me, it got to a point where you're just unhappy and you want to find some kind of happiness. You want to find some kind of freedom, right? And so for me, I figured in order for me to find freedom, for me to find happiness, there has to be a better way to live life to where you're not sitting and just working 24 hours a day, 365 for what? To just buy stuff. So for me, I chose the Philippines, came here, visited for 2 weeks, then came back for a month, and then honestly just fell in love with it. I just fell in love with the culture, with the people, and with the city, to be honest with you. And so I decided, hey, you know what? And also another thing to consider as well is the fact that it's fairly simple to move to a different country, specifically the Philippines. The government itself makes the process pretty simple to do if you want to. So that's another huge reason as well, because if it's, think about it, if people are trying to, let's say, if you want to move to the US, like, it's almost impossible now with Trump in office. It's literally like impossible to do that, so it's much harder now, obviously, to do. It was really hard before, and now it's going to be even harder. But if you look at countries like the US or UK or other countries, Western countries, their process is very long, and it takes a bunch of stuff essentially. For me, it was a very straightforward process, and the process itself was pretty simple for me to follow. Now, there's a whole nother video I'm going to make about that, because I'm not a tourist here, I'm a resident, so I live here. And so how I was able to do that was fairly pain-free process for me. I'll make videos about that, another time and whatnot. But when it comes down to moving, to selling everything and moving, honestly, the cost was what was the very first thing. Secondly was the fact that because I'm able to make money online, I'm able to leverage that, obviously, and living here is a lot cheaper than living in the US, and everything here, for the most part, not everything, for the most part, costs a lot cheaper than it would in the US, and that's just a fact. Now, I am very lucky, and I feel very blessed to be able to make money online in dollars, obviously, which allow me to do this, right? So it's also one of the reasons why, why there are a lot of, Filipinos here that want to go to the U.S. because they want to make dollars. So I get it. I understand. It makes a huge difference and a huge impact in their lives, and most importantly in their families' lives, because they're able to help their families, that are here. So I get where they're coming from, and I understand why they want to, migrate to the U.S. and why they may want to make dollars. I get it. Been here for 3 years now, and honestly, like, if I start thinking about the things that I've been able to do here versus the things that I was not able to do, or really just couldn't afford to do them in the States, is ridiculous. Like, a good example of that is medical, right? So in the US, honestly, in the US, I think the biggest scam is insurance. Honestly, straight up. I think the biggest scam is insurance. And so for me, I wanted to take better care of myself, right? Obviously, I know I'm a big person and all that stuff, but I wanted to get checkups and health checkups. And so for me, being in the US, I don't work for a company, right? I have my own company. And so with that comes the fact of, trying to essentially pay for like insurance and stuff like that. And it's just so much money. And it's not even guaranteed coverage, right? So the biggest issue for me is the fact that in the US, everything is based off of insurance. And if you don't have insurance, you're gonna pay ridiculously a lot of money for whatever services you get. So let me just give you an example. So to get blood work in the US before I left, this is back in 2022, to get blood work, okay, in the US, just a regular full panel of blood work, it would cost $560 for me to do that, okay? Now here, I'm able to do the same full blood panel, and on top of that, I'm able to do ultrasound for, to check like kidneys and liver and all that stuff, and also get a chest x-ray. That's what they do here. They give you a full panel, and then they want to do the ultrasound for the liver and all that stuff, and then a chest x-ray. So all of that combined here, I just did it a couple months ago. It was only 8,000 pesos. 8,000 pesos. I'll put up what the US, amount equivalent of that is on the screen so you know. But that's a huge difference, And if I can live, I think about it like this, if I can live in a country where I can actually afford to go to the doctor on a regular basis, get normal tests on a regular basis, and pay out of pocket for it, and you don't need insurance to do that because it's affordable. That's the biggest thing right there, is affordability. And so being able to have that here, to me, is huge. And so that's another major reason why I decided that I wanted to live here, was because it was just more affordable, to be honest. There are things that are probably the same cost as the US, like I can tell you that electric here is pretty expensive, especially if you come from, a Western country where, that's essentially a staple there, right? Everything has AC, and it's central AC. Over here, you don't even have central AC. You have AC units in each room, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, I think electric is probably one thing that is about the same cost, if not higher, depending upon honestly how much you use the AC. and whether it has an inverter or not. I didn't even, the craziest thing about when I first moved here was the fact that we discovered, this whole thing about appliances having inverters or non-inverters and stuff. I came from America thinking that every appliance had inverters. Like, I didn't even know that there was, this whole, does it have inverter? Does it not have inverter? Like, that didn't even dawn on me, as a thing. But here is a thing. Most appliances here are probably going to be non-inverter, which obviously use more electricity compared to products that have that are inverter, that have inverters or whatever. So it's just a thing that that kind of I didn't know about until I got here. But even with using things that don't have inverters, I mean, to still have electricity about the same price is, pretty cool. So the cost of living, way cheaper. Let me tell you how much cheaper it is for cost of living. Now, before I do, come on, let me just show you real quick. Absolutely spectacular. By the way, they're gonna turn on the Rockwell lights tonight because I can already see that they're on. You just can't really see them yet because it's still daylight, but I'm gonna show you what they look like. But Rockwell is right here and the lights are already on. You can't really see them though because it's obviously still daylight, but hopefully by the end of the video here, you'll see them, which is pretty cool. But let me give you an example. So rent in America. Okay, the average rent in America right now for a 1-bedroom, okay, and this is me using my exact cost of living in a 1-bedroom apartment in America. So my rent before I left that lease and moved over here, that rent was $1,870 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay. Now, just to give you some context, is my monthly budget here for everything to have a life here is $2,000 a month. So just the rent in America is basically the same amount of money that I use here to live off of everything, pay all the bills, everything that I need within $2,000. And that's just not for me. That is for me, my wife, and my daughter. So 3 people living here for about $2,000, and sometimes it's less than $2,000. It just depends on grocery shopping or whatever extras we buy essentially for that month. Our budget that we have allotted ourselves every month is $2,000. If we spend less, then we spend less, but we don't go over $2,000. So the fact that rent by itself in America for just me was pretty much the same amount of money that I spend here the entire month for everything, including 2 other people, is that right there should tell you why, So that right there makes a huge difference, obviously, because you are not stressing out about money, essentially, You're not stressing out about that stuff. And a lot of the things, honestly, you can control. Like, for example, we live in this condo that's 3 bedrooms, right? Now, we don't need a 3-bedroom. We don't need a 3-bedroom. We can live in a 2-bedroom condo here. A 3-bedroom here, we pay $50,000, right? Which is equivalent to like $900. So just in rent alone, right, it's half. Just in rent alone is half of what I used to pay in America. And again, if we were to move to, let's say, a 2-bedroom, we can cut that down to maybe $35,000. So, I mean, that's a big, it's a big deal. And to just have that option and know that, whenever our lease is up, we have that option of going down to a 2-bedroom. If you wanted to save more money, we can, right? And then obviously, if we go down to a 2-bedroom, the electric bill is going to be way less because you're not running as many air cons as you want, and it's not needing to cool off a bigger place, because the 3-bedroom is the biggest condo you can get here where I live, so if you move to a 2-bedroom, then the AC doesn't need to work as hard to cool off a smaller area. So obviously, the electric bill is going to be less. So that's even more, that you can save. So if you really wanted to, we could look at maybe, I would say 1,500, and that would be kind of right there. If we were to live in a 2-bedroom, we could live off of 1,500 for 3 people in Manila. Think about that. That's crazy. To me, that's crazy. Imagine if we were to move to a province or, out to an island, it'll be even cheaper, So everything is relative to what you can afford. But for me, I like it here in the city. And I mean, look at that view, come on. To me, I love the view. I'm not a big beach person, so it's not I'd rather see the mountains than the beach, honestly. But here, actually, I can see both. I can see the mountains and I can see the beach, and I get a city view. So I kind of get the triple effect here because you see all the buildings in the city view, but over here, which I don't know if you can see it or not, over here there's mountains there, and in front of that there's water. There's, the water of Bay of Manila. So I get to see all of it. I get a mountain view, I get a city view, and I get a water view. So it's pretty crazy. And on the opposite side of the building here are all mountains as well. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say, man. It's just different. And I absolutely love it, to be honest with you. I love it. But yeah, so living out here cost of living was definitely, the one thing that I was like, hey, if I can live way cheaper in some other country and I can live there permanently, why not do it? And I think that if you're let me tell you something real quick. If you're in America, right, or if you're an American and you're watching this video, here's one thing that I absolutely love about not having to worry about is, if you're an American, you know what I'm talking about. So in America, every day you go to the mailbox and get your mail, right? And there's literally what we call junk mail every day in the mailbox, like tons of junk mail. Like here, ever since I moved here, I haven't had to go to a mailbox. Not one time have I needed to go to a mailbox. No junk mail in 3 years. It's absolutely the best thing ever. So if you live in America, but junk mail, no more junk mail. Haven't seen junk mail in 3 years. So if you live in America, you know what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so that's a plus, a check mark added to that is the fact that no more junk mail. Also, phone calls. I haven't made a phone call in a while. Like, to actually use the phone, the only thing that you need here, honestly, is internet service, and everything is done through Messenger, or everything's done through Messenger, honestly, or WhatsApp or Viber, whatever the case may be. But you don't even need a phone number. I haven't made an actual regular phone call to a phone number in over 3 years. Like, the phone calls that I make are literally FaceTime or Messenger FaceTime calls. That's it. Everything's pretty much text message or FaceTime calls. That's it. So that's a whole nother thing that you don't need here. Like, I haven't, like in America, you have a phone number and, you get to make phone calls and everything. You're in a different country, so there's nobody to call. I don't have nobody to call. You know, everybody that I need to call is literally on FaceTime. So that's a whole other thing as well. You're not getting those annoying scammer calls, that you would get in America. You don't get those here. I haven't gotten those here. Obviously, I don't use my American phone number anymore anyway, so it don't matter. So I have a Philippine phone number, so that's another thing that I don't have to worry about. Those two are, if you ask any American, they're like annoying. Those two things are very annoying. Junk mail that you get every day that you just throw out, that's a waste of paper, and robocalls, or people try to scam you on the phone, leaving you voicemails and all that stuff. Now, granted, there are scam things that happen here as well through text messaging, but honestly, because I'm a foreigner, like, I don't worry about any of that stuff because I don't click on any of that stuff. I don't click on any links or anything like that. So, and I don't get any messages anyway, so it doesn't, again, doesn't affect me that much. But it's just another thing that I really enjoy about being here. But you could see, I don't know if you could see it yet, but I'll try to zoom in so you can see Rockwell. It is lit up, but again, it's just still daylight out. So yeah, guys, that's why I moved out here. Those are the reasons, honestly, of why I moved out here. Life is way easier. If you're watching this right now and you are in America specifically, and you've always wanted to just get out of the matrix. If you live in America and you want to leave the matrix, I call America the matrix. If you want to leave the matrix, leave the matrix. Figure out a way, find a way to make money online. Okay, create a YouTube channel just like I did here. We created this YouTube channel here, with the intent of just documenting our life, documenting our family life. That's it. So someday when we're no longer here, our daughter could watch these videos again and, be reminded of all the things that she did when she was young. So all we're doing is just documenting, and people are watching us, us document our lives. That's all we're doing, is documenting our lives. We're sharing real life experiences, real cost. So, we're just sharing our life. That's all we're doing. And hopefully, we have like 470 something subscribers, and we really just started posting about a month ago. So hopefully, God willing, that it allows us to share our lives, but also make some money on the side. That'd be pretty cool, And so if I can do it, anybody can do it. If I can do it, like, anybody can do it. If you've ever thought about leaving, it's time to really start taking that more seriously, and take a chance. That's all I can tell you. Just take a chance. What's the worst that could happen? You don't know until you try. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video, and take care of yourselves, be blessed, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.